Dire team ban.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the NoShang Invitational. We are going to have another best of 3. We got Kaipi going up against NoLifer5, and this one's going to be a little bit interesting, as you could see. Well, probably not because the names aren't proper, but we actually have Bambo standing in for the Kaipi squad, which is a little bit of a throwback, I suppose. But yeah, they just got rid of Cancel, so we'll see how they're able to perform. NoLifer5's definitely a solid team, an up-and-coming team, and I think they're definitely capable of going a lot farther, but we'll see who is actually going to win here. I'm Mike Loris, going to be joined by MRP for this best of 3. Dude, what are your thoughts on these two teams?
Well, just a Bam boy trying to play Dota 2, I suppose. And I don't think me, you, or anyone in the Dota 2 scene ever thought that we'd see Bone7 and Bambo on the same team. But there's going to be a lot of space created. I can say that that much for Kaipi. But I'm looking for the Chen to come out more than likely for NoLifer5's here. They really value that pick from what I've seen of them lately. So for Blizzy, in the 4 position, who's tagged up as Chuan Shuo right now. But it looks like they're taking a couple of seconds to think about it. Maybe Kaipi, they feel like can deal with that a little bit better than some of their previous opponents.
You know, I mean, NL5, they are definitely a little bit more of a team fighty based team. That's just like how they operate. That's where they're really at their most comfortable. Taking out the IO as well, perhaps in some situations a little bit strange, but Kaipi, at least without Bambo, do prefer having the IO above everyone else. Almost always will first pick it, pretty much no matter what. So, you know, NL5 definitely doing their homework, and as I said before, NL5, I think definitely an underrated team. Like, these players haven't really had any huge splashes individually. Like, I mean, if you look at Kaipi, that's definitely not the case. We have a lot of like kind of old, really great talent there, I guess you could say, whereas NL5 a little bit newer. So NL5 perhaps a little bit more difficult for Kaipi to read, but it's definitely a team that I think other teams in this tier really have to be a little bit careful of, because even if they are not the most mechanically sound teams, like their team fighting is insane.
Yeah, I think they've shown some very promising team fights specifically, as you mentioned, and that's kind of, you know, their picks are somewhat indicative of that. They don't want to be kind of dumpstering you 1v1 in lane and carrying that advantage. They do want to be grouping up and fighting. And Kaipi, they are going to be a little bit susceptible early on to this NoLifer squad. So the opening of Chen, Nature's Prophet, definitely means that at the very least the mid lane is going to be one that's perhaps vulnerable here for Sing Sing, and it's going to be nice to see Sing Sing return to kind of his home in the mid lane once again. And it's definitely a bit unfortunate for Cancel, who I considered one of the more promising up and coming players, but did seem like maybe he had a bit of a limited hero pool. And Kaipi going to try out a few other offlaners here, see if that works out better for them. But yeah, so Bounty Hunter, he's going to roam, but against a Nature's Prophet Chen, I don't know how much they can really get done against the NoLifer5's mid lane. So I definitely think Kaipi are going to be a bit pressured here early on. Another pick that does come out often. So one thing we say a lot is that usually if you have a Chen, you want a good laning support as well, so that it allows him to roam. But often NoLifer5's go for the Night Stalker on top of the Chen and actually put the Night Stalker in the 3 role, which is something that a lot of other teams tend not to do. They usually put that Night Stalker in the 4 role. So we'll see if they end up opting for it here. But definitely, as you mentioned, the name of the game for them is group up, pressure, pressure, pressure.
And this is, well, definitely an opening to have for it. Bounty Hunter is going to be an annoyance. Like, you know, as Chen, you never really want to be going up against Bounty Hunter because it just pisses you off all the time, but you probably won't have the same impact as a Chen rotating in for a gank, especially on an Invoker, especially when you have Nature's Prophet able to teleport in as well. Right. So this is probably a little more of a little more severe, aggressive game here from the NoLifer5 NL5 side, whereas for Kaipi it's a little bit more passive pressure from this Bounty Hunter, a little more poking and prodding, a little bit more of an annoyance there. But Kaipi, they're going to go ahead and grab an Ember Spirit 3rd pick. Definitely a nice hero to have if you are, you know, expecting to play that rat game up against the Nature's Prophet. Ideally for NL5, though, their game plan is not supposed to allow for that. They're supposed to have a decisive edge before they're actually going to have to resort to that type of rat style.
Ember Spirit is a, yeah, like you said, like the rat is a certain possibility, but it's a bit of an interesting pick for me. I mean, you're going to have a lot of summons on the other side, which is kind of going to feed into the Ember Spirit. But by the time that the Ember Spirit gets scary in terms of his wave clear ability, in terms of his spread damage with the cleave, it feels like NoLifer5's already plan on having quite a substantial amount of objectives achieved by that point in the game. So I don't necessarily think Ember Spirit is kind of direct counter to this push strategy as much as some other carries with Wave Clear would be. But I think in some respects, a safe lane Sven would deal better with kind of the creeps incoming, but especially having the war cry as well. Lane's better against the Nature's Prophet, and it's likely that it is going to be a safe lane Ember Spirit. So that pick is a bit curious for me from Kaipi, but I mean, as you mentioned, they're definitely capable of avoiding fights, and with the opening of Chen Prophet, they don't have all that much just yet, barring an Orchid build-up to be able to lock down this Invoker and Ember Spirit if they are split pushing.
And now this isn't really going to help out that case either. Juggernaut definitely consistent with the we're just going to go ahead and push you type game plan that NL5 seem to be developing right now, but Ember Spirit evasively is going to be really difficult for NL5 to actually deal with. You don't really want to build an Orchid on Nature's Prophet if you're going to go for this type of strategy.
Right.
So that's, I mean, it almost seems like a necessity at this point. Of course, it's not too late for NL5 to grab a Lion here. Probably going to be one of their more reasonable heroes. And again, Bounty Hunter is an annoyance, but you're going to have to deal with that anyway. They really just need some extra disable to deal with this Ember Spear because no one else is going to do it. For the Kaipi side, Wave Clear is going to come perhaps a little bit more so from this from the support hero in the Lina. Seems like she's pretty well positioned in this game. The setup in lane isn't really that high, but still, I do like Lina's support quite a bit. It is potentially going to be awkward when Chen starts rotating around, when Age Prophet teleports in as well, and Lina's kind of just going to be in an awkward position there. But for the most part, if Kaipi can keep their formation up, keep the Lina in the back, keep the creeps from pushing in, then they may just be able to farm up this Ember Spirit enough. It is kind of sketchy from the Kaipi side, though.
Yeah, she could be susceptible, as you mentioned, to the Chen and the Prophet, but she's got that 600 attack range. Dragon Slave's got a great range on it as well. So as you mentioned, if she's positioned well enough, I think they're okay. They have later on the Searing Chain set up. She's good into the Sprout as well if the Nature's Prophet's trying to TP out. And eventually later on, if they do drag it to the late game where Kaipi certainly seems to have the upper hand, the pure damage of the Laguna Blade potentially coming out is going to be really nice into the Juggernaut Blade Fury. But NoLifer5's going to pick up a very interesting hero here in the Wind Ranger towards more than likely the mid lane. And it's kind of a hero that we've seen come back into favor really towards the tail end of this patch. And I think maybe the one difference is that we don't see a lot of these competitive Wind Rangers go for Aghanims anymore. It's kind of just that straight Maelstrom build. Helps with the push in that sense. Also helps her to farm up a little bit. And I think most of the pros have kind of advocated for the fact that you're only really going to get one Focus Fire off in a fight. So giving up over too much of your item progression towards that Aghanim Scepter that can hinder you in other ways, it's going to provide that lack of lockdown potentially for them. But once again, it's a bit unreliable. Being disjointable now, the Ember Spirit's still going to feel fairly elusive, as you had mentioned earlier. So I don't know that the Wind Ranger solves all their problems yet, but still a fairly stable mid, and it won't get wrecked mid lane. It's very resistant to the Bounty Hunter, and we'll have a fair matchup against the Invoker.
I think that's probably the biggest thing, just being resistant to the Bounty Hunter. I could have very easily seen NL5 go for a puck, get some initiation, and answer to the Ember Spirit for the exact same reasons. Just Bounty Hunter rotating in isn't really going to be that big of an annoyance for either of those two heroes. Wind Ranger is very safe in that regard. Perhaps a little bit of I don't know, less initiation for sure coming out from this Wind Ranger. A little bit less consistent than the puck, since if you miss your shackle shots, I mean, you're pretty much done there, as opposed to missing a coil, which really shouldn't be happening. For Kaipi, though, it's going to be a Tusk in the last box. Probably going to go well towards that off lane. Is there any chance for some weird dual lanes to come out from Kaipi? I feel like there might be something awkward or a little bit strange going on in the bottom lane, but for the NL5 side, Shadow Shaman is their last pick. I think they want to push. I'm like pretty sure that's the case.
Yeah, definitely gonna fit with the theme. It's definitely gonna leave NoLifer5's just in terms of their itemization, and they scale decently as a 5-man, but it feels like they have a very clear-cut plan here, and were the game to drag on past the 30-minute mark and any tier 2s are still standing for Kaipi, it's very worrisome for them. But Bambo's Tusk, he feels to some extent survivable in this lane, but it's not like he's going to be able to really stifle the farm of Pubber. So I don't know yet if that's really the pick for me. It's nice with the sigil into the Nature's Prophet Sprout. kind of provides you with a bit of wave clear, but since the nerf to shards, we often see the max snowball first, just because even if you only have one hero in your snowball, it's doing substantially more damage than the shards. So I don't know if it's a great pick for Kaipi. We've been a big fan of the Tusk for a while, but just recently he seemed a bit underwhelming. Maybe the Walrus Punch will be nice to have through Blade Fury, but other than that, I don't see all that much merit to the pick. It definitely is a hero that Bambo is pretty comfortable on those.
I think that's probably the biggest part of it. I mean, you could always just like list what Tusk is going to be doing, but in the off-lane scenario, going up against this Juggernaut Shadow Shaman with the chances of Chen and Nature's Prophet coming in, like there's no wave clear there for the Tusk, or at least no substantial wave clear. His survivability is by no means guaranteed, and it looks like he may be taking to that like kind of Earthshaker-esque role where he's like, okay, well the bottom lane is not hospitable. I'm just going to go ahead and with my boots first, roam around and try to get some blood on my hands. And that is something that the NL5 side do have to worry about quite a bit. You know, Bounty Hunter rotating in to the Wind Ranger lane is one thing. Bounty Hunter and Tusk is quite another. Shards can potentially just completely negate that win run depending on the placement, depending on where the Wind Ranger is actually caught out. So this is going to place a little bit more pressure on the Wind Ranger over towards the mid lane. And of course, this is going to mean that the Observe Wards placed by the Radiant have to be that much better as well. As it stands right now, Observe Ward on Zayak still has yet to be placed.
Yeah, it's definitely a good 5-man hero, as you mentioned. And one way to beat Deathball is to have good 5-men on your side. So in that respect, it does add some to the arsenal for Kaipi, but they are going to take a bit to come online altogether with the lineup. The Bounty Hunter is not going to contribute all that much until he picks up level 6 by virtue of this Wind Ranger pickup in the mid lane. So he'll drop a couple of deep wards for his squad and maybe look to find himself a courier snipe. And we'll see what kind of start he gets off to. But yeah, other than that, laning stage is going to be pretty much, I feel, decided by this Chen's rotation. So we'll see how Blizzy is able to get work done on the Chen. And this is, I mean, as I mentioned right at the beginning of the draft, one of the heroes that NL5 run, I would say, in more than 60% of their games if they can get it.
I mean, it's always get Chen game 1 and then have it banned out in all your other games.
Right.
So that kind of does cut into his pick rate a little bit, but in the good way for NL5. I'm sure they're okay with that. The Bounty Hunter tried to mess with the mid lane, didn't really get all that much, and was actually spotted by the Sentry Observer combo in the South River. This is going to be a pain in the ass for the Bounty Hunter to deal with. Just a couple of glimpses of this hero, and the Wind Ranger can breathe easy, and now they're actually going to set up a trap for the Bounty Hunter. They have Shackles, there's only a State of Tormentor here, but they have a lot of right-click. With these heroes here, Shards will not really help out all that much because the spin is still going to come in. The Bounty Hunter, though, is just fast enough to get away. And they will actually get away with that bounty. Mad getting out of there by the skin of his teeth. But NL5 committing another sentry there. And that is, at the end of the day, a little bit of a win there for the bounty.
That's one way to get the trust of your teammates as you just join a team or stand in and try out for them. Bambo with both the shards and the body block there to save Mad, which is going to be really nice, as you mentioned. And he's able to deny himself up, get back to base. Zayak is going to get off the shackle here, but Blade Fury was already used, so no mana on Pubber to grab up another one. He actually had the mango, but the cooldown was there. And Bambo, he may be dead here regardless, as the Satyr is going to rotate in with the Hadouken. Need a couple more right clicks. Hadouken, no more mana here for the Satyr, so I mean, at the very least, space created just Bambo things in the bottom lane. He's going to buy up a TP and a stick and probably look to deny himself, maybe a couple of clarities or another TP before he does so.
And I would expect no less from having Bambo on the team, just all the space being created. The only issue is the space actually going to be put to good use? So far, it seems like the answer is a pretty okay yes. Like, Ember Spirit up towards the top lane is having an absolutely free time. Once he gets, a couple of more levels, level 4, level 5, going to kill this Nature's Prophet, definitely a possibility. Or you just catch him with the random LSA. I mean, that's good too. And over towards the mid lane, Sing, I mean, he's having an okay kind of stress-free time. The Chen isn't rotating on him, which is kind of nice, but at the same time, Bounty Hunter isn't messing with the Wind Ranger at all. So this mid lane kind of moot, kind of a tied lane over in mid, and well, bottom lane, the Tusk is getting experience, but that's about it. So overall, I would say NL5 dealing with this Tusk and the Bounty Hunter pretty reasonably without really committing too much of their resources.
Yeah, Mad did pick up an Arcane Rune, so had a couple of extra Shadow Dances to harass out Blizzy here, and he's not really going to find much experience, although he does to some extent annoy the Chen, he's still really lacking in terms of his levels. This Dire Observer Ward, though, it's going to scout out the rotation here from Blizzy, and so his first one will be announced to the Kaipi side. But yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, Runets versus Sing mid lane is pretty much even here. As this wave comes underneath the tower, Rune will be able to pretty much equal up the CS of Sing. So other than that, it does feel like NL5 are somewhat content with the early game, but Pub are going for those early couple of kills, one on the Bounty Hunter and one on the Tusk, has to some extent hurt his CS. He's sitting on 16 compared to the 27 of Bone 7's Ember Spirit.
Man, Bambo is going into a little bit of a dangerous situation on the bottom lane, yet still is going to keep himself safe. I mean, it is nice to have the Chen kind of not paying attention at all to this mid lane, very gankable hero in the Invoker. The cost of that is this Bounty Hunter. Level 1.5, 4 minutes in. It's not really useful as a hero, honestly. Like, he's going to be still very nice to kind of shatter the Chen and make sure things like this doesn't happen, where the Chen is actually going to smoke up and get a really good angle on Sing. Sing with the TP coming from the Polyoshka. This may be our first blood. Sing's going to get shackled for sure. There is no focus fire. TPs are coming in, but it's a little bit late. Sing will fall. And Bambo's going to arrive, try to clean up at least the Nature's Prophet. His damage isn't quite high enough. And, well, with the Forge Spirit, that will be high enough. They'll grab the retaliation kill in a 1-for-1 trade. Now, here comes the Bounty. But we can see the Chen is just doing so much more with so much less than the Bounty Hunter, and that's just naturally what the hero does. So sacrificing this Bounty's experience gain completely is going to be really costly in the long run, not only for him, but now also for Sing Sing.
Yeah, next level thought process in the draft screen as well. We looked at the Puck as a potential replacement for the Wind Ranger, but the Sprout's always going to mean a guaranteed shackle in this mid lane for Rune. So that's a really nice little bit of synergy that perhaps I overlooked a bit, and that's going to net them a good kill on what you mentioned is going to be a very gankable Sing Sing Invoker here early on. But 5 minutes in, I mean, the Chen kind of only getting one done. Wow, top lane. Bone 7 might just go down here. Flame Guard making him feel way too survivable, and he actually just pretty much feeds. Has a poor man's shield, so feels fairly tanky, but that's going to be a solo kill for Napolioshka, and he's going to be almost level 6 on this Nature's Prophet.
Polyoshka didn't even have to do anything. Like, he was literally standing still, right-clicking the Ember Spirit. He told all his treants to right-click the Ember Spirit as well, and Ember Spirit was like trying to farm them with his Flame Guards. I don't know, maybe he thought he was going to get level 6 a little bit earlier, then he could bounce out of there, but that was a pretty big mistake, honestly, for the Ember Spirit. I mean, he still has a lot of last hits, by far the most on the map, so I guess the death in the long run isn't really going to matter too much, but I mean, that was like one of the most avoidable deaths I've ever seen in my life, so I'm not really sure what happened there. Nature's Prophet is going to be ecstatic about that, and hey, with a little bit of a lead, if they're able to take a couple of towers, suddenly they'll have a couple more answers to this Ember Spirit. Again, I should be looking at an Orchid build-up for Napolioshka, and especially after that kill, we would be feeling pretty good about it, but over towards bottom lane, the push is going to commence. No Nature's Prophet just yet, and Tusk is very limited in his ability to interrupt this. They're going to actually latch onto the Bounty Hunter. There's a Centaur in the area as well. They'll shock him down. Don't even need the Centaur. Now here comes Bone 7. He's got the shield burning, and that should kill off the Shadow Shaman. He'll poke him in the back, grab the kill, and they'll kill off the Centaur as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Bounty, though, only level 2, not even level 3 at 7 minutes in. This is going to be a very, very late track in this game.
It's pretty heavy committal as well from the bottom lane. They bring in Come With Me and Bone 7 on top of Bambo here, so just netting the one support kill after losing the Bounty Hunter that doesn't feel like all that worth it. Come With Me, very timely placement of the ward. Could look to find Pubber here, but he does have that Blade Fury, so I think he's fairly survivable in this bottom lane. Could hit one from the fog, though. Here comes the LSA. They'll have a chains as well. Sunstrike going to come through. Pure damage is there. They have a remnant forward from Bone 7, so he could just look to right-click him down, but he's going to miss shoot just short. The Flame Guard, though, it'll finish him off regardless. Come With Me may die for this, though. Tower shots will finish him off. Napolioshka going to rotate in once again for the experience. And looking to find Bone 7 here. They have the turn, though, with the snowball. Shards are there as well. Bone 7, he's just getting the hell out of dodge. Kind of leaving Bambo to the wolves. Bambo going to be slowed up here by the Penitents, but will be able to make it out. So overall, once again, Tusk going to be able to save his comrade, and Bone 7 will now look to return to farming. He's left a remnant in the bot lane, though, so it's a potential fight to come out from Kaipi. However, all 5 heroes near the bottom hemisphere of this map. Now Rune will return to that mid lane, but Dire Vision is a little bit deep in this Radiant jungle, so it does seem just now that they do get information as to the positioning of these heroes, but they are going to have to bring everyone to be able to make this fight. Perhaps Sing Sing can just contribute with a Sunstrike, but with the early Bounty Hunter, they don't really feel like they're ready to mount a defense in this bottom lane. We'll see what their choice is.
Stall, stall, stall. Here's where you need just as much AoE as you can possibly get. Dragon Slave and Ice Shard's very similar in how they behave. They're really just supposed to get a little bit of space here on top lane. The Polish gets Sunstruck and the snipe from the Bounty Hunter. That was on the edge of the Sunstrike. Pretty much as razor thin as you can possibly get, but Bounty Hunter is going to get a huge bounty from that, gold-wise, of course, but also getting closer to that track. And really, this is a little bit of a small play there from the Kaipi side, just recognizing with these Observer Wards that NL5 are grouping up on this bottom lane, throw all their AoE down there, like all of the AoE down there, and then just put the Bounty Hunter up towards top lane. Now we have a level 6 Bounty Hunter 9 minutes in, and that's actually not too terrible. That's actually a pretty darn fast after all is said and done. So yeah, just juggling your lanes just a little bit to get a little bit of experience, I guess, assorted on the right heroes. It'd be great for Kaipi in the long run. Well, this might not be as good. Snowball in, Walrus Punch, almost killing off Zag with the Dragon Slave. It will. Bambo's taking a lot of heat here from the Juggernaut. Sunstrike will miss, but Bambo still will survive. Laguna Blade with the track on the Juggernaut will get the kill. Lina will give her life for it, but Bambo will survive. Now we have a Sprout on this Bounty Hunter. He is dusted up. He's going to get a track out. He's probably just going to die here to the right clicks. Yana Polishka's right clicks. Probably the most damaging thing in the game this so far, but it is going to be still a track kill and a big kill on the Juggernaut on this bottom lane, and losing your 2 supports isn't really a terribly huge deal, although losing the tower is a little bit more so.
Yeah, I feel like they got one early as well. Yeah, they got, did they not get a hero early on top of the Juggernaut in the Shadow Shaman? I believe so, with that Dragon Slave coming through.
I'm not sure if that was a track kill, but they definitely got him.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, Bambo show on the bottom lane, beautiful reactions from him. It looked like they wanted to just come in and Omni him and finish him off, but he gets the snowball stun through too with the shards, Dragon Slave on top of that, and able to kite around Pubber long enough for the Laguna Blade to come through. So I want to say maybe tactical feed earlier on by the Ember Spirit. He gets the Bounty Hunter all that experience top lane by killing a level 7 Nature's Prophet. And they do have the track in a reasonable time, but Sing, he's going to be found out here and stomp down. Shackle is going to latch, but not to the target that Rune wants it to. And they will finish off the Lina in the background as well with the Omni Slash. So these couple of kills, although maybe the Lina not worth all that much, is going to mean they're going to get at least this mid lane tower, with her being off the sidelines to not be able to wave clear for her squad. So very good timing of grouping up here for NL5. The one thing of that Juggernaut death bot lane is that they do withhold the Omni Slash. So immediately back to the strength of their lineup, and well played by them to really know kind of that is what they need to be doing. They have to continue to sell out on this strategy. And thus far, 11 minutes in, you've got 2 of the tier 1s. Not a terrible timing for this push lineup.
They just have to be a little bit careful about their detection status, because they made that push with no sentries, at least under the tower, no dust there. The dust was all in the Shadow Shaman, who wasn't in the area. So if NL5 just make sure they have detection, then they can very easily replicate those plays. And it seems like they could just replicate the play up towards top lane, where Kaipi are going to be very unwilling to make a defense there. The push is pretty much in full swing at this point. Focus Fire is going to be cooling down. And Lina, Tusk, I mean, again, they have the shards, they have the Dragon Slave. It's about all they're going to have as far as clearing is concerned, and they really do need clearing. If they can get a snipe on Pubber, though, that will be pretty darn good. They know exactly where he is. Bambo is going to see him. He's got the Walrus Punch with the Sunstrike. That might be enough setup. There's the Sunstrike, and kaboom. Juggernaut is going to get popped, and that is going to make this push on the top lane rather costly. I mean, with the draft on NL5, you would assume that these towers, at least the tier 1s, are pretty much just free towers. It's going to be a gimme every time, but losing your Juggernaut, that is not a gimme. That's something you have to actually work to make sure you don't run into. So it is going to be really costly in the long run there, and now they're going to actually go for the tier 2 Serpent Wards and a massive army. They are on a kind of timer here, because they are all going to eventually be tracked up unless Mad gets a little bit too close. Sentry Ward is in range, although he is going to slip out of there. And Kaipi, they're going to clean out these wards. If NL5 stick around in this area for too long, this track can really stack up. And here we go. They're going to teleport out with the Chen, or at least try to. He's going to get interrupted, and looks like it'll be a free kill for the Bounty Hunter. Or the Invoker, whoever.
I mean, Invoker things. Just wait for you to do all the work, take all the kills. But the bigger thing here is they're going to be able to get the Chen creeps as well. And he's going to be effectively off the map for about a full minute. Although the res timer is only 20 seconds, he's going to want to continue to build that army back up to help with the push. So is actually a larger win than it is on paper for Kaipi. And I got to agree with you totally there. They probably stick around a little bit too long without their Juggernaut. And when all is said and done, they get what? 35-40% of the tower's HP top lane. Doesn't feel like it's really worth it. And Bone 7, he's now picked up the Void Stone on top of the Boots of Travel, so he can kind of farm. We mentioned it earlier with the kind of a bit of a lack of lockdown, at least before they get something like a Blink Dagger on Zayak. He can farm the dangerous areas of the map and allow the rest of his lineup to jungle safely on their side, whereas even though they've lost these tier 1s, wow, Bambo, though, going to find another kill out alongside the Sunstrike again. And yeah, I mentioned Chen being off the map for a minute, make it about 2 at this point, with Pambo doing work on this Tusk thus far. 0-1-5, involved of 5 of the 9 Kaipi kills.
I mean, just had the Observer Ward in the river, saw the Chen moving up, and with this maxed out Snowball, Ice Shard, Sunstrike, with the Walrus Punch on top of that, yeah, I mean, you're going to be getting some kills on these kind of weaker oriented heroes like the Chen, and that's just even more time that Chen really doesn't want to be off the map. He has to build up his creep army, he has to get creeps, and then he has to get good creeps, and then he has to assemble for the push. Every single pick-off like that is just so much more time for Sing to get that extra bit of farm, for Bone 7 to get closer to his Battle Fury. Right now, doesn't really have anything outside of this Void Stone, but once he does get that, it almost seems like the push from NL5 is pretty much stone cold stopped. Like, they can't really do that much once the Nature's Prophet and Chen army just gets diced to shreds. They'll still have the Focus Fire, they'll still have the Serpent Wards, which is not nothing, but it's just so much more difficult to execute your draft when you don't have those units in the front. Napoleoshka's going to jump on a Come With Me. LSA and Tango, he's going to dig his way out. Napoleoshka's pretty darn quick with the phase and drums, but Power Shot, oh, we'll get the kill on the Lina. Great snipe there from the Wind Ranger. But at the end of the day, it is only a Lina kill, and I don't believe it's a kill that they could actually make a push off of. I mean, they could try, but it's probably going to be more costly than it's worth, especially with Napoleoshka being stalked by the Bounty Hunter. There's a Sunstrike in the tank in 7 seconds, and Napoleoshka's got to watch out. Is he dead here? I don't think they have enough damage here.
There's no one nearby, though, to save him. There's potentially going to go down. Drum's going to be popped off, and yeah, with Matt expending the Shuriken early, he's just going to back at him, be content with the forced TP, I suppose. That is going to tip them off, though, to one of these deep wards, or at least the positioning of Mad. Pubber pinging around this cliff area. Dust is up on the Shadow Shaman, but they're going to pursue any further, and Mad should be able to get this track off onto the Juggernaut. So yeah, I mean, I felt like with that Lina kill, you probably go directly into the Roche pit for NL5, but they choose to back farm Ancients, get their Wind Ranger into the jungle as well. And granted, they are very close to this Aghanim Scepter, which is going to help out with the structure pushing on the Wind Ranger very soon. But I felt like Roche was probably a very low-hanging fruit for them off the back of that pick. And they'll continue to kind of delay things out here and allow Kaipi to have the space to farm. Bone 7 at this point is about 2,600 gold away. Or 1,600 gold away, excuse me, from the Battle Fury, so not all that far.
Well, they'll find the Bounty Hunter, who is still sticking around just to randomly place Sentry Ward, is going to get that kill, and now they're going to smoke up and probably make that Roche play, but that is just like a lot of space created by the Bounty Hunter for one thing. Bottom tier 1 did fall, and Kaipi are, getting more and more geared up and ready to go. Perhaps they still would like to have this Battle Fury and the Ember Spirit is one sword into it. We'll need the other one, of course, but Blink Dagger on the Invoker, he can get into those fights pretty easily, but perhaps more importantly, he can rat out for NL5. And, with Nature's Prophet, you expect to be the Rat Kings, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Oh, Bambo! Okay, he's going to throw the shards, which is going to clip onto pretty much everyone, but, yeah. If anyone's going to make that play, right, it's going to be Bambo. He's not going to have a chance to, though. Juggernaut will grab that double life. And so they'll actually get a pretty nice timing here. We have the Wind Ranger grabbing the Aghanim Scepter, the mechanism perhaps more important on the Chen. So NL5's push has got a lot stronger if they can actually group up and afford to make that push, because that door is seemingly closing without having a pick off beforehand.
Yeah, and that is the one thing that allows the Nature's Prophet to kind of go for this not necessarily push-oriented build in the Orchid, is that you do have the Chen on your side. So NL5 cumulatively have a very good draft for this push, and this is going to be kind of the perfect timing for them to take down at least 1 or 2 of these tier 2s. If they don't get a couple of them at least before the late 20-minute mark, they are going to be definitely behind their timings. So now that they do have that Roshan taken down. They have this Orchid coming up. They're definitely fight ready. The Aghanim Scepter completed as well, and Wind Ranger just eclipsing that level 11 mark with the Roche kill. So yeah, definitely more ready than they have been all game long. Pubber is under farmed, to say the least, on the Juggernaut, but he does have the Aegis. Although though, Zayak kind of, I guess, on a warding mission is going to be picked here. Maybe alongside Bambo, they're able to pick him off on the Shadow Shaman. So really nice play.
Split pushing Tusk. They'll never see that one coming. Dust again is going to whiff on Mad. There is no more detection here, actually. He's going to go invis right under their nose, and unfortunately for NL5, they cannot do anything to actually deal with this. They're pushing up towards top lane, I suppose, with Pubber, but I mean, they're split pushing at the same time, Kaipi, with the Tusk of all heroes, as well as, you know, pretty much everyone else poking and prodding on this bottom lane. So NL5, this bottom lane is a concern, and it's a concern that usually is going to be mitigated just by having a Nature's Prophet on your side. A Wrath of Nature with the ability to teleport in should clear that up darn quickly, but oh, Bambo is going to get silenced and Omni'd up on the top lane. It'll be a free kill here for the Nature's Prophet. But again, is that actually good enough? They can't assemble the troops up towards top lane fast enough because of the situation on bottom, and because over in mid, Bounty Hunter is still being just an absolute pain in the ass. So NL5, they really do have to push, but wherever they try to make their push, it's not going to be for free. There is going to be quite a bit of risk associated with it, and it seems like they want to go over towards the mid lane, but I mean, the Chen is tracked up, so there's not really going to be any chance for an additional pickoff here.
Battle Fury is ready when he wants it for Bone 7 as well, so these pushes are going to get all the more difficult going forward. They do get that safe lane tier 2, which is going to be nice, but Bambo will be up soon. The full 5-man potential of Kaipi is definitely a lot scarier than it has been 5, 6, 7 minutes ago at this point. And I mean, Sing Sing, after just the early couple of deaths mid, he's got, you know, Bot's Blink, which is, you know, this hero being as good as it is, all you really need to start fighting. So they will eliminate this tier 2 without major contest here from Kaipi, but now that the Battle Fury is going to be out as well, I don't feel like NL5 can get all that much more. And the Aegis, it's got 2 minutes left on it, but they're getting low and now looking to chase for more. The send back will be there for the Juggernaut. Bone 7 into the jungle, but the extraction is going to be successful for now for NL5. So definitely something nice for them. They don't continue to split push for Kaipi. They come back to try and find some stragglers, and NL5 will successfully be able to extricate themselves from any danger. Bone 7 bot lane, Hubber nearby, and the potential TP in with the Orchid is going to be more than likely the major factor forcing him to Remnant out there. But yeah, Bambo top lane, just looking to find that snowball. The reveal of the Orchid there is really the only reason he dies, and can't really blame him for jumping forward onto the Juggernaut.
I mean, at this point, NL5, they don't have a gold lead, although it may be dipping towards their lead in just a little bit. Is already not really where they want to be at this stage. When you're running this type of pushing strategy, you want to be ahead in gold, but the upside is, even though these heroes are really good at pushing, Juggernaut, Wind Ranger, Nature's Prophet, these all are heroes that do have quite a bit of late game contingencies. So NL5 just playing the pickoff game, it's going to be hard to out-pick off the Bounty Hunter for sure, but it is something that they can kind of fall back on once these tier 2 towers fall. I don't see them, without an Aegis and Cheese, being able to bust up high ground, especially when Napoleoshka is going to get jumped here. Yeah. Double invis heroes out of nowhere. Sunstrike is going to be a little bit off the mark. He's going to sprout himself, try to TP out, and that's actually going to buy his escape. The Sunstrike and the Shards perhaps not playing perfectly together, but either way, it is going to be a failed gank on the Nature's Prophet. NL5, I don't think they can make anything happen off of this, but still, Nature's Prophet lives, and he can get a little bit more gold into what I assume is going to be a Maelstrom.
Yeah, you mentioned the gank squad, and actually a pretty costly miss on the Sunstrike, I feel there, but either way, at the end of the day, they lose a Bounty Hunter. The timing's set back enough such that the Aegis is reclaimed now. Sing Sing's been farming away, kind of unthreatened the entire time. Bone 7's picked up his Battle Fury, so it still feels like Matt is essentially just doing his job. And Bambo, he's sitting on 1,500 gold, so soon enough will have himself a Blink Dagger, more than likely on top of these drums. And I feel like Kaipi are pretty content with this, all things considered. Pubber, though, he has recovered decently on the Juggernaut. Picking up the Battle Fury will allow him to scale a little bit better than just being kind of, you know, forced towards too much towards this pushing lineup, and that does bode well for NL5's ability to carry this a little bit deeper. The Orchid build on the NP as well helps him out, but bottom lane, LSA, Shuriken comes through as well. Pubber, he gets dropped real low, about 25% of his HP. There will be a Shackle on to come with me, though. The Orchid is there as well, and with the Dust and the Treants, they'll scout out Mad. Shards are going to come through, block him off. Ether Shock will be there, Power Shot will miss, but Test of Fate will find him unfaithful and finish him off. Ember Spirit not choosing to contribute here, and he will force at least a TP back from the Wind Ranger, who's got a Blink Shackle and will pop it off onto Bone 7. He's got no Remnant defensively up, and now with the Orchid, Bone 7's gonna fall to the Soul Burn more than likely here. Oh, the Flame Guard keeps him safe for now. Remnant over to the left side, but I mean, you gotta have that Remnant up when you're split pushing on this Ember Spirit, especially when the push is impending into your base. And now Bambo, he's going to be forced to Walrus Punch up Pubber. Shards will be there, but it won't block off the Juggernaut, unfortunately, and they cannot finish off the Jugger here. Sunstrike doesn't find anything, and they'll get the tier 3. Mad now trying to bring down the wards is going to take a lot of punishment doing so, and Bone 7 costing his team dearly over in the offlane.
Just 2 Sleights of Fist will clear everything in this bottom lane up, if the Ember Spirit, of course, was alive for it. At this point, it's definitely a lot better than the Shards of the Dragon Slave combo from the Lina, so yeah, it is going to be quite a large set of mistakes there from Kaipi, just trying to cheese kill the Juggernaut, get rid of, I think he still had the Aegis, so that wouldn't have even been a super high value pickoff, get track gold, I guess, but yeah, just the fact that they are kind of disrespecting this Nature's Prophet's ability to TP in and the impact of Napushka once he does TP in. This Orchid is just doing overtime at this point, and he has the right click to back it up now with the Maelstrom, so it killed off the bottom lane, it bounced up towards the top lane, killed off the Ember Spirit as well. I guess that was a Blink Dagger on the Wind Ranger revealed, and there was also Blink Dagger Shadow Shaman also revealed in that, so now Kaipi, you would at least assume, wouldn't be caught by that again, but man, losing 3 heroes like that, the doors are wide open in any given lane for the NL5 squad at that point. And ooh, now Mad is going to walk right into a Sprout. He's hexed and silenced. I think he's going to go down here. Yeah, cannot cast anything, of course. And now over towards mid, Bone 7. I don't know how that Shackle missed, but either way, is going to get out of there. But NL5, I mean, they're just finding much better pickoffs because Kaipi are kind of being a little bit careless, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's really definitely before those blinks come out, as Bone 7, you feel fairly safe, especially if you're able to catch a glimpse of the TP in from the Prophet, but there's really no excuse not to have a Remnant up there, especially when you expect an impending base push from the other side. So it's costly for sure, to say the least, and they are going to be kind of on the heavy back foot now. He's going to go for this second Battle Fury as well with the Broadsword already picked up. It could be a Crystallis, but definitely understandable versus all the summons coming out from NL5 side. But you mentioned, I mean, the itemization now with the Blink Dagger coming out on both the Wind Ranger and the Shadow Shaman, and it feels like to some extent for me, them just having the Chen was enough for them in terms of having a push lineup, and they've itemized such that they do scale fairly well on all their cores continuing forward in this game. So NL5, just considering kind of the advantage they've built to this point, I don't feel like they're necessarily as heavily on the burn timer as they once were. I mean, the Napoleoshka Prophet is going to go for a BKB now, it seems. So maybe they are just looking to end this one fairly soon, but I don't feel like that is their only option, albeit though still probably the most attractive one for NL5.
Especially since they're going to have a double life on Pubber in a matter of seconds. NL5, Kaipi, they're rotating in. They should not really want to fight this. They're going to Sunstrike and miss completely. The shards are decent. They're going to Laguna Pubber, but no one's dead just yet. In fact, it's Mad taking the most damage in the backside. He will get picked off by the power shot as Bone 7's in the middle of everything right now. He's hexed up. He's being Omnislash, and he's down, which will bounce over to come with me afterwards. That's 3 for 1 so far. Sing Sing's going to bug out of there super quickly. Bambo trying to run to the south. He's going to get shackled, focus fired, and dropped. It's a double kill for the Wind Ranger. It's a 4 for 1 exchange. They even kill off the Aegis. No. Kaipi tried to initiate at a super weird angle. That is, again, I think just a little bit careless from Kaipi. You know that the enemies have a double life. You know that with a Juggernaut, they're most likely not going to take a lot of damage from Roche. Why would you take a fight there instead of waiting for the high ground push when all of NL5 are going to be in the small funnel?
I mean, they saw a Prophet in lane, but it's a Prophet, so you really don't have a numbers advantage. They have an Aegis. You don't have incredible team fight like a Chrono or an Enigma or anything along those lines, so it's curious to me for sure as well. Bone 7 kind of jumping forward, gets hexed up, orchided thereafter. So once again on the Ember Spirit, just perhaps frontlining a little bit too much for his squad, and maybe they just don't get there in time. But yeah, as soon as you miss that Sunstrike, if you're not able to pop one very quickly, you kind of just need to back out. And Bambo hit a good enough set of shards, I feel, for them to kind of just run away. But they chose to commit to the fight, and rather precarious situation for them. So they lose 4 and a lane of racks immediately thereafter. And now NL5 are pretty much exactly where they want to be in terms of their stance in this game. Pubber, he's showing mid lane, but he's got an Aegis. So even if they find this kill, doesn't feel like it's really all that significant here for Kaipi.
And NL5 just, of course, getting the racks is big for any draft, and a draft that can punish that even harder because of their speed at which they push is, of course, something that Kaipi are not going to be super happy about, but their items are actually looking extremely terrifying coming up. Shadow Shaman looking at the Aghanim Scepter, BKB for the Nature's Prophet, Aghanim Scepter for the Chen. Juggernaut has 4,000 gold, Wind Rangers looking at a Daedalus soon. It's a huge set of items coming up on the NL5 squad, and these are the type of items that can just let you brute force for another set of Raxes. Like, you just drop the Serpent Wards, which at this point are level 2 and should be level 2 for quite a long time, onto the tier 3, and you force Kaipi's hand at that point. And Kaipi don't really have any good heroes to snipe out those wards. I guess Forge Spirits are okay, but that's really about it. So at that point, NL5 just can, right-click occasionally with the Wind Ranger Daedalus, and they should be able to get more tower damage, get these tier 3s out without really committing that much of their own. And this is where Kaipi's draft kind of falls short. They have a little in the way of initiation. They'll find Pubber up towards top lane, though. Take out the Aegis. However, it might cost them. Come with me. Shackled to a tree. Is going to get a little bit help, but not quite enough. Kamikaze still is on the run. Ziggy's going to take a full Omni Slash, which will actually bounce over to the Mad Bounty Hunter. He will get hexed up, but he will find a way out of there. Now the Boulder going to roll through onto Zayak. That's, again, not going to quite do enough damage. They'll now shackle up Bambo with another Focus Fire. Kamikaze is just assassinating everyone, and now a blink forward onto Sing. Nature's Prophet going to show his face in this fight. He's going to sprout up the Invoker. Ziggy's here as well. Do a lot of damage to Zayak. In fact, get the kill, but at the cost of their own Invoker. It's, again, a 1 kill for Kaipi in exchange for 3 heroes. A little bit too expensive for the Kaipi squad. Again, you're only getting an Aegis there, best case scenario, and it just wasn't enough. I don't think the upside was even there to make that play to begin with.
Yeah, you're getting an Aegis and you're feeding over a mega kill streak on Sing Sing to Pubber as well. And now Orchided up mid lane, Bone 7. He has a defensive remnant, so we'll be able to outdistance them with the Boots of Travel and is able to save himself there. I really like his build as well. I was going to touch on that before the fight opened up. He realizes he can no longer frontline. With the Shadow Shaman having the Blink, with the Blink Shackle and the Orchid, he needs to have his distance be very far away from the fight, and the Blink Dagger is going to allow him to be able to do that. Blink forward, Slide of Face, Remnant out, rinse and repeat. And that's allowed him to survive in the last 2 engagements here on top and mid lane. So mid, though, they're going to find Mad once again. They don't have enough detection up the hill. Bring him down, but he's going to walk back into it. And now Orchided up, sprouted, shackled. And it has been a rough game for this Bounty Hunter all throughout. 1-9-6. So, I mean, there's still high ground potential for Kaipi. But NL5 are looking very strong. Pubber picks up a Diffusal Blade now, so the Ghost Scepter is not going to be all that good. It's going to be great up against the Ember Spirit as well. The Purge helping him out there, but Bone 7 will sniff it out and be able to get away just with the last few seconds of that ward, scouting out Pubber by the large camp as it expires.
Bambo running into Zayak. Full stun duration here for the Shadow Shaman. And, well, he'll try to Ghost Scepter away. It won't work. They'll lose the Polishka in the meantime. Smoking successful. Now, big Sleight of Fist. Dropping Zayak below half, but that's all that Bone 7 has to contribute there. They'll lose the Tusk, gain the Nature's Prophet. A decent trade for Kaipi to make, since the push is not going to be happening here for NL5 for a couple more minutes. 1 or 2 minutes at this point, you would expect. And Pubber's actually showing himself over in mid. That's pretty risky from the Juggernaut, because he's all alone. And luckily for him, he's not going to get jumped on. But NL5, they are a Rax in lead. They will have a big set of items coming up very shortly. In fact, they just bought the vast majority of their big items. But Kaipi, they still have all this burst power. And as long as they're not Kalis like this, Ziggy's going to get burst over in the mid lane. Hexed up, shackled to a tree in Penitence. That'll be a dead Ember Spirit. Come with me now on the way out. Should be able to make it back, but Bone 7 just getting picked off time and time again. Constantly giving NL5 opportunities to go up the high ground. This time, however, Kaipi are in a defensible position. They'll drop their entire combo onto Pubber with Laguna Blade. They'll take down the Juggernaut for free. Mad's going to take a shackle shot, failed shackle shot over in the meantime. Snowball in, onto the Chen. There's no Walrus Punch. He got hexed up beforehand. LSA with the right clicks onto the Chen. Not going to be enough. Tornado. Will that be enough? It's going to connect onto pretty much everyone. It will kill off the Chen. And they'll work down Zayak as well. Polishka's going to teleport to the back end and just go to work on to come with me. But Sing Sing's doing quite a bit of damage himself. They'll take down the Nature's Prophet with just a couple more right clicks. But Sing Sing loses him in the trees. And now he's going to get sprouted up. Blind Sunstrike is going to be just off the mark. Sing cannot get the kill. And now he has to worry about this Wind Ranger. Shackle is going to connect with the Focus Fire there. They'll take down the Invoker. Double kill for the Wind Ranger. It's very, very costly there for NL5. They're not going to be able to make a push off of this one, but man, do they collect a whole bunch of kills.
Yeah, it's nice on the back end. If they had lost the Prophet there, I don't even feel like that's anywhere near worth it, but this Aether Lens is doing so much work for Come With Me. Bambo, he's going to get the Ghost Scepter off, but should fall here shortly as he's silenced up. The Ancient's going to do a couple of right clicks. He's going to jump forward with the shards. They're going to look to find no Polyoshka. He's got no BKB available. Bambo outskirting the fights, gonna keep himself safe. Wow, lightning proc almost kills him off. Oof. Oh, the power shot will finish him. Second time in the game from very far range. Rune able to do that, but I just wanted to touch upon Come With Me, just finding quiet farm on the Lina. He's sitting atop of all the supports and even his own offlaner, and it feels like every time Pubber has died on this Juggernaut, it started with an LSA, not even set up from the Yules, as of course he'd be able to predict and spin that off. So Come With Me been doing work from the fog. And yeah, I mean, that second BKB charge now down for the Nature's Prophet. So slowly but surely, Kaipi kind of clawing their way back into relevance. And I think a lot of that is off the back of Come With Me's Lina play.
Yeah, I mean, just Aether Lens on the hero gets so much value when you're able to blindly, or kind of out of the blue, initiate with an LSA. Because if you don't see it coming, man, you're going to get stunned. The cast range on that is already not the worst, but it gets even higher with that lens. Just being able to snipe people out. It almost seems like the Yule Scepter at this point is just like an obsolete item, but hey, they were going to find another chance to go for the Chen. They're going to think better of it, but NL5, they do cost themselves quite a bit in order to get those kills, and they're going to lose a courier for the upteenth time. It's like the 4th or 5th courier that's died in this game. It's pretty insane. But Kaipi losing a set of Raxes are currently dealing with it pretty well. I feel like as long as they keep this Ember Spirit alive, they should be able to at least have a fighting chance for even fights in any given situation. But that's just not been the case. Ember Spirit's just been assassinated first thing, and that's just what happens when you have a Wind Ranger with the Blink Dagger, Aghanim Scepter, and Daedalus. It's so easy to get those kills, and you have Blink Daggers on pretty much everyone with disables as well. So Bone 7 is probably the most important hero to keep alive right now for the Kaipi side. They're looking at the Chen over in the mid lane. Mad, just trying to get some vision.
Yeah, and the Daedalus will be complete alongside buyback in just 400 gold here for Bone 7. So that's going to help them further defend these pushes incoming. But as you mentioned, I mean, it's really all going to be on the initiation onto Bone 7. The Daedalus is not going to protect him from a Blink Hex or a Blink Shackle. The only real chance he has is to have that quick reaction on the Blink. And that's not going to save you from a Hex. It may save you from a Shackle, but not from all of what NL5 is able to offer. So they still do kind of depend on being reactionary for Kaipi's side, and that is a bit of a concern. They can't really jump forward and put the onus on themselves. They need NL5 to make a bit of a misstep, a bit of an overextension for them to punish them. And I mean, NL5 are going to look to mitigate the risk of that happening by once again picking up the Aegis, and there'll be a cheese alongside it this time, with it being the 3rd Roche.
Jesus, that Roshan died so quick. Focus Fire with the Juggernaut there and Penitence. It does do quite a bit of damage. They'll grab the Aegis, they'll grab the cheese, grab Guardian Greaves on the Chen. Just a little bit of extra oomph to that push. And now I'm sure they're looking for the pickoff, and by that I mean they're looking for Bone 7. We'll see if they can actually find their mark there. But yeah, NL5 still in a pretty decent position now that they have this Aegis. They have Bamboo in their sights on the bottom lane. Playing this aggressively up against Nature's Prophet, incredibly risky. This time will be unpunished. It looks like the push is going to be coming up straight up the mid lane. That's probably not the best situation there for NL5, just to straight push that one without fixing their other lanes first. And they're just going to fall back, and just everyone going to do their own thing. Mad, once again, is going to be looking for some space, but unfortunately finds a little bit more than he bargained for. Walks into a Gem Shadow Shaman. Bounty Hunter down for the 11th time now. You can only say space created so many times before it kind of gets defeating.
Yeah, Mad's kind of stuck around a little bit too deep behind enemy lines later into the game, and Gotta expect that gem timing for this push lineup at some point. You do want to choke out the vision. LSA is going to catch again from the high ground, though. Sunstrike going to come through Pubber. Laguna Blaze there. One more right click to Aegis. Immediately removed. They have blown quite a bit. But can they look to continue to stifle this lineup? Jump forward. Immediate tornado is going to catch the Nature's Prophet. Napoleosha, he's going to be hexed up too. He's taking a lot of damage on the Prophet. Over to the side, Bone 7. He's going to be hexed up, but they don't have the damage on top of it for this Ember Spirit just yet. Rune, he needs another crit. Sleight of Fist will get there in time. He'll Remnant away. He drops another Remnant. He's just kiting around this Wind Ranger. Jump forward from Pubber. Won't be able to finish him off. Walrus Punch, Sunstrike up into the air. The Omni Slash, though, it's going to be enough damage. It will bring down Sing. He'll have to buy back. 2 supports on the sidelines as well. Bambo able to blink away to safety. They get the racks in the meantime. And the second one should go down. Sing. He gets the Hex off, but it's not in time. Ultra kill. And it's a beyond godlike streak for Rune on the Wind Ranger. Snowball is there. Prophet, he's bought back. He can come through. Pubber blink forward. Couple of right clicks will finish off the Tusk. Now, Bone 7, he's shackled. He's orchided. He's finished. That's going to be game and a rampage coming out for Rune. Bone 7 will buy back, but he'll be the lone defender for his squad, and that doesn't feel like it's going to be nearly enough to deter this push from NL5. Kaipi. Just that one last team fight.
Double rampage? One time? God damn it, Napolishka. Oh well. It might not have been in time for the double rampage anyway, but I mean that was almost as good as it gets for the Kaipi squad. They just blow up the Aegis first thing. Usually you're gonna have a decent fight from there on out, but the Blink Daggers on NL5 really winning them that fight, just jumping over the wall. The Ember Spirits got hexed and shackled the entire time. That was a full Shadow Shaman disable combo onto the Ember Spirit. Even though there wasn't really that much damage being applied to him, the lack of sleight of fists means that the creeps from the Chen, the Nature's Prophet, are all still surviving. The Shadow Shaman wards are still shooting, and no one from Kaipi is actually able to deal with that. So they just got out-initiated, and they got out-initiated really, really hard. You're going to need a Lincoln Sphere in this type of game if you're the Ember Spirit in order to kind of get around that, or BKB, clearly of which he has none. So it is Kaipi to kind of get picked apart by